floodwaters spread rapidly, covering vast plains, deep valleys, and bustling towns alike. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain never ceased, and the water had nowhere to go. It continued to rise higher and higher until even the tallest mountains were completely submerged. Every living creature that walked the earth, every being that breathed through its lungs, perished beneath the waves. Only Noah, his family, and the animals aboard the ark remained safe, carried upon the endless sea of destruction. Inside the ark, Noah and his family, along with the countless animals, braced themselves against the storm. The massive wooden vessel rocked violently, tossed like a leaf upon the raging floodwaters. After Adam and Eve succumbed to temptation, ate the forbidden fruit, and were cast out of the Garden of Eden for defying God's command, they began a grueling journey of survival on the vast, untamed earth. Adam lived for 930 long years, side by side with Eve, raising countless children. These children, in turn, multiplied and spread across the land like stars in the sky, filling every corner of the earth, from bustling plains to rugged mountains, from dense forests to endless grasslands. Everywhere the footprints of humanity could be found. However, because of Adam's sin, God cursed the earth. The land became barren, no longer yielding its bounty as it once did. People now had to toil twice as hard to scrape together enough food to survive. As time marched on, the earth grew more crowded, teeming with people like an overrun anthill. And within the hearts of humanity, the seeds of corruption and evil began to grow like a cancer, spreading unchecked in the chaos of the world. Eventually, this evil bore its bitter fruit. The earth erupted into endless chaos and conflict. People fought viciously over limited resources, power, and wealth. They turned on one another in a frenzy of violence, greed, and cruelty. The shadow of bloodshed loomed over every corner, and the stench of sin filled the air. Evil surged like a flood, reaching unimaginable heights. Darkness consumed the hearts of men, and goodness and justice were trampled underfoot. The world descended into chaos and despair. God saw all that was happening on the earth. His heart was filled with sorrow and disappointment, and he regretted creating humanity. Faced with a world so morally corrupt and spiritually bankrupt, God decided to bring judgment upon it. He resolved to cleanse the earth with a flood, wiping out humanity, along with the beasts, insects, and birds of the air. But amidst the sea of corruption, there was one man named Noah who remained righteous and pure. Noah held an unwavering faith in God, and every action, every word was guided by God's will. Under Noah's careful guidance, his 3 sons also stayed true to the path of righteousness, their hearts and spirits untainted by the chaos around them. Not only that, but Noah, filled with compassion, tirelessly warned those around him to turn away from their wicked ways and repent. Yet most people ignored his pleas, continuing to indulge in their sins and pleasures, drifting further and further down the path of destruction. God took notice of Noah and his family's righteousness and kindness. In a world drowning in corruption, they stood as a beacon of virtue. So God made a decision. Noah and his family would be spared from the impending catastrophe. They would become the seed of a new humanity, carrying the responsibility of preserving and rebuilding civilization. One quiet night, in a moment of divine solemnity, God appeared before Noah and spoke with deep sorrow. "I have witnessed the wickedness of mankind, and it grieves me beyond measure. Soon an unprecedented flood will sweep across the earth, washing away all that is tainted with evil. But you, Noah, are a righteous man. I command you to build an ark. When the flood comes, it will be your refuge, the sanctuary for you, your family, and every kind of living creature." God then gave Noah precise instructions. The ark must be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Construct it from sturdy gopher wood and coat it inside and out with pitch so that it may withstand the floodwaters. Build it with 3 levels, upper, middle, and lower, and place a window at the top to allow light to shine in, bringing you hope even in the darkest days. When the ark is ready, gather animals according to my command. For the pure, 7 males and 7 females. For the unclean, 1 male and 1 female. As for the birds of the air, bring 7 pairs of each. These creatures will ensure life continues once the waters recede, repopulating the earth anew. Noah listened carefully, He did not doubt, nor did he hesitate. He understood that this was a divine mission, a sacred duty placed upon him by God himself. And though the task was daunting, the construction of a massive vessel, unlike anything mankind had ever built, he was resolute. With unwavering faith, Noah and his family scoured the land, searching for the finest gopher wood among the lush forests. Every tree they felled carried their hope for the future. The rhythmic sound of axes echoed through the wilderness as mighty trees slowly toppled. With determination, they transported the heavy logs to the construction site, their every step laden with hardship but also with purpose. Yet the world around them scoffed. People sneered at Noah's work, mocking him with disbelief. A ship in the middle of dry land, preparing for a flood that will never come? They dismissed him as a fool, lost in delusions. But Noah stood firm. He did not waver. The fire in his eyes burned with unshakable conviction. Days turned into nights, and nights into weeks. With tireless labor, the ark, the vessel of salvation, took shape. Towering and steadfast, it loomed over the earth like a mountain of refuge, a testament to faith and perseverance. Then came the next challenge. According to God's command, Noah set out to gather the creatures of the earth. He ventured deep into dense forests, his keen eyes searching for the rare and precious beings that would repopulate the world. He crossed vast plains, calling out to the animals with a voice of kindness and sincerity, guiding them toward the ark. He braved the darkness of deep caverns, whispering softly to the slumbering creatures, coaxing them to follow his lead. With patience and care, Noah led each animal aboard. He provided fresh meat for the carnivores, lush greenery for the herbivores, and built warm nests for the birds. Every living being found shelter under his care, and within the ark, they did not just survive. They felt safe. They felt at home. When everything was finally ready, on the 17th day of the second month of Noah's 600th year, the unthinkable happened. The great flood arrived. The sky turned black as thick storm clouds gathered, stretching like a vast, ominous curtain over the world. Thunder roared with deafening force, lightning slashed through the darkness, splitting the heavens apart. Then the rain came, pouring down in torrents as if the very floodgates of heaven had burst open. At the same time, the deep springs of the earth erupted, sending towering columns of water shooting skyward. Rivers overflowed in an instant, their raging currents tearing through the land like wild beasts, demolishing everything in their path. Fields, villages, entire cities, all swallowed by the relentless tide. The floodwaters spread rapidly, covering vast plains, deep valleys, and bustling towns alike. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain never ceased, and the water had nowhere to go. It continued to rise higher and higher until even the tallest mountains were completely submerged. Every living creature that walked the earth, every being that breathed through its lungs, perished beneath the waves. Only Noah, his family, and the animals aboard the ark remained safe, carried upon the endless sea of destruction. Inside the ark, Noah and his family, along with the countless animals, braced themselves against the storm. The massive wooden vessel rocked violently, tossed like a leaf upon the raging floodwaters. At times, monstrous waves hurled it skyward, sending their hearts into their throats. Other times, it plunged into deep troughs, as if it would be swallowed by the abyss. Through the ark's small window, they could see nothing but an endless expanse of water. The once thriving cities, the monuments of human civilization, all had been erased. It was as if the world had been reset, returning to a time of primordial chaos. For 150 days, the floodwaters reigned. Then at long last, they began to recede. The waves grew gentler, the currents slowed, and the ark drifted until it finally came to rest upon the mountains of Ararat. Weeks passed. Eager to learn the state of the world, Noah cautiously opened a window and released a raven. But the bird found no land to settle on, only endless water shimmering under the pale sunlight. It never returned. Next, Noah released a dove. The small bird soared across the vast water, searching for dry ground. But it too found no place to land and eventually returned to the ark, exhausted. 7 days later, Noah tried again. This time, as he waited, he whispered a silent prayer, hoping for a sign. At dusk, the dove returned, but this time it carried something, a single fresh olive leaf in its beak. Noah's heart swelled with joy. The flood was retreating. Life was beginning to stir once more. Another 7 days passed and Noah released the dove again. This time, it did not return. It had found a home. Then on the first day of Noah's 601st year, he opened the doors of the ark and stepped out. Before him stretched the reborn earth, no longer covered in water, but brimming with life once more. The ground once drowned beneath the flood was now dotted with fresh green sprouts. Trees unfurled new leaves, their branches stretching toward the sky. A crisp, pure fragrance filled the air, the scent of renewal. And then Noah heard it, the voice of God, familiar and filled with warmth. Step out of the ark, Noah. Bring your wife, your sons, and their wives. Let every bird, every animal, every living creature you have sheltered return to the land and multiply upon it. With reverence and gratitude, Noah obeyed. He led his family down onto the fresh earth, treading carefully upon the land that had survived destruction. Their hearts swelled with awe and emotion, their eyes glistening with tears. Behind them, the animals too stepped into the open. Some bounded across the land, others soared into the sky, their cries echoing in the air, a celebration of survival and rebirth. The first thing Noah did upon leaving the ark was build an altar to God. With deep reverence, he selected some of the clean animals and offered them as a sacrifice, an expression of his profound gratitude and devotion. God was pleased with Noah's offering. As the fragrance of the sacrifice rose, God made a solemn promise. Never again would he destroy the earth with a flood. And as a sign of this everlasting covenant, he set a brilliant rainbow in the sky, a symbol of his promise to all generations to come. From that moment on, Noah and his family began their new lives on this restored land. They tilled the soil, planting seeds of hope for the future. They raised and cared for the animals, watching them flourish once more. And so, humanity took its first steps into a new chapter, one filled with promise, renewal, and the enduring strength of life itself.